Do we live in a multiverse? Maybe, maybe not. While the idea of the parallel universe might be frightening, scientists have claimed that there might be multiple instances of almost everything that exists in our world presently. Just recently, Elon Musk gave a fascinating explanation of this theory. Keep watching till the end of this video to see the first parallel universe has finally been discovered. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. It's safe to say that the theory of the parallel universe has moved beyond our sci-fi movies to the realm of science. In fact, experts have come up with various theories about the subject, including the great physicist Stephen Hawking. However, some of these theories are confusing, and if care is not taken, you could get confused very easily. But to make it easy for you, we'll break down the idea behind the multiverse theory, proving the parallel universe theory. Simply put, the parallel universe theory suggests that our universe, which extends out tens of billions of light years and consists of numerous galaxies, stars, and planets, may not be the only universe that exists. This means that there's a high chance that your exact copy is in some distant place. This means that the person will have all attributes precisely identical to you. Now, what makes this theory more interesting is that there could be more than one of the said universes. It could be uncountable copies of you floating around. The universe in this context is an all-encompassing house for everything that exists, from galaxies to stars, solar systems, planets, humans, plants, animals, atoms, protons, and electrons. The multiverse theory also suggests that our universe is only a small fraction in the company of a multitude of universes. This means that there could also be a universe that's completely different from ours and has its natural laws. Now, this type of universe may also be in its billions, all of which harbor different types of beings and intelligent life forms. Now, the idea of the multiverse did not just come up yesterday. However, the scientific basis of it arose from the study of cosmological forces like black holes and problems arising out of the Big Bang theory. It was derived from what we call the inflation theory, which is now widely popular. It was developed in 1980, and it helped fill in some information gaps where the Big Bang theory left off. What does the inflation theory have to do with the Big Bang theory? Well, we all know that the Big Bang theory was a massive explosion, and what are explosions known to cause? Chaos. However, in the chaos, the universe was able to contain a remarkable hierarchy of stars, planets, galaxies, and galaxy clusters. The inflation theory is seen as an extension of the Big Bang theory, proposing that the universe, which was initially as small as an atom, expanded to cosmic proportions in a fraction of a second. Simply put, the universe became massive within a very short time. However, this expansion ended about 13.8 billion years ago, and that's when the Big Bang happened. In a sense, the inflation caused the Big Bang. But then it could mean that the Big Bang applies only to our universe. However, inflation does not end everywhere at the same time. Heling Deng, a cosmologist at Arizona State University and an expert in the multiverse theory, told Live Science in an email, "It is possible that as inflation ends in some region, it continues in others." Cosmologists believe that this rapid inflation doesn't end everywhere at the same time. It may cease in some regions and continue in others. So while the expansion ended for us about 13.8 billion years ago, inflation continued in some other regions and may still be continuing as we speak. Since inflation may be continuing in some other regions that we are unaware of, they may be creating other universes. This will ultimately mean that inflation is eternal, creating an ocean of individual universes, one of which is ours. In this context, each universe will have the possibility of developing its laws of existence like natural phenomena, unique physical forces, values, and fundamental constants, hence the multiverse theory. As with all theories, however, the multiverse theory has its controversies. While some believe this is just a fascinating idea introduced by sci-fi, others think it's very real. Scientists have been trying to find evidence that points out the existence of the parallel universe by observing distortions in electromagnetic radiation that are left over from an early stage of the universe. Scientists also believe that certain types of black holes can also give us supply clues that point to the existence of the multiverse. The theory of the multiple universes is so staggering that it's shown up not only in cosmology and astronomy, but also in music, literature, philosophy, sci-fi, and even religion. Multiple universes are, however, called other names in the different sectors. We already mentioned the parallel universe, but there are also quantum realities, parallel realities, and alternative realities. Stephen Hawking, before his death, addressed the multiverse theory, which helped to shine more light on the subject. It was also the subject of his last paper, which was published in the Journal of High Energy Physics. He wrote it in collaboration with Professor Thomas Hertog from KU Leuven. Before this paper, however, Hawking had made some comments about the multiplicity of the universe. "We are not down to a single unique universe, but our findings imply a significant reduction of the multiverse to a much smaller range of possible universes," said Hawking. Hawking stated that the theory is based on string theory. It stated that the universe is infinite and simpler than the numerous theories about the Big Bang. A one-dimensional object, that's the thing that really tames the infinities that come up in the calculations. String theory expert Marika Taylor, a theoretical physicist at the University of Southampton, England. Hawking and Hertog claim that the theory of eternal inflation as it applies to the Big Bang theory is wrong. According to their paper, the problem with the account of eternal inflation is that it assumes an existing background universe that evolves in agreement with Einstein's theory of relativity and treats the quantum effects as little fluctuations around this. Hawking, in an interview in 2017, stated that the theory of eternal inflation predicts that globally, our universe is like an infinite fractal with a mosaic of different pockets, universes separated by an inflating ocean. He further explained that the usual laws of physics and chemistry could be peculiar to each pocket universe, but together they would form a multiverse. The duo thinks that the dynamics of eternal inflation eliminated the separation between quantum and classical physics. Consequently, Einstein's theory breaks down eternal inflation. However, in their new theory, eternal inflation is reduced to a timeless state defined on a social surface when time began. If we were to trace back to the creation of the universe, we would arrive at the threshold of eternal inflation, where our customary notion of time would cease to exist or be meaningful. This new theory helped them to derive a more reliable prediction about the global structure of the universe. Elon Musk's version of multiverse theory. Elon Musk believes that we are all trapped in a matrix-like pseudo-experience. Considering that the universe is 13.8 billion years old, he stated that any civilization which may have arisen throughout the cosmos had enough time to become masters of its technological capabilities. He said that if we assume any improvement rates, then games will be indistinguishable from reality or civilization will end. He added that since we exist, we are most likely in a simulation because it could only be one of the two. He further stated that this is mostly about probability. There are many simulations that you could either call them reality or multiverse. He further elaborated by saying, "The strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, is the following. 40 years ago, we had Pong, 2 rectangles and a dot. That's what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, the games will become indistinguishable from reality." What are your thoughts on the multiverse? Do you believe it exists, or should they remain in sci-fis and nothing more? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section.